Dollar. Dirt and money, no soul. Had to go and get it, ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack and flip for my foes. Dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar. Let me watch out for my partners. Keep my money long, get my team strong. Let me run away from my problems.
Yo, what's good, original crew, man? We're back. Hey, man, we got another Chillin' Scares. Today's video, man, we got 28 minutes of purely horrific information. Ready for some horrific information, see?
Mm-hmm.
Are you?
I mean, well, no, but...
She said, mm-hmm. She's like, hold on. Did I really say that?
I'm going to hear it, so I mean, I guess I have no choice but to...
I'm going to hear it. Hey, with that being said, before we get into it, make sure y'all check out the links in the description box.
Down below.
You already know where to go. If you want the first part, you got to do it. Check out down below. Also, if you enjoyed today's video,
locking it with a thumbs up.
We'll highly appreciate it. Let's go, baby. Let's check this out. Let's see what's about. You ready?
I'm ready.
Let's get it.
Roller coaster decapitation. Six Flags is an amusement park company that operates many theme and water parks around the U.S. Georgia is home to one of these locations and receives millions of visitors each year. What many of these visitors don't realize, however, is that one of the rides has led to two different people losing their lives in the most brutal way possible. The more notable of these incidents happened on the 28th of June 2008. The day started off completely normal, but that changed at 1:50 p.m. when park authorities discovered the remains of a young man under the Batman-themed ride. These remains belonged to 17-year-old Isaiah Ferguson. He was visiting the park with his family and a group from his local church. According to witnesses, Isaiah and another boy ignored the many danger signs under the coaster and entered the restricted zone by scaling the two 6-foot-high fences surrounding it. It's possible they thought they'd be safe as long as they were under the rails and not climbing on anything, which would have been the case for most normal coasters. Unfortunately for them, the Batman-themed ride featured an inverted design, where the seats were suspended beneath the track rather than mounted on a car above it. The ride was also running at the time, and it did not end well for Isaiah. I saw a man run from the building towards the fence. He jumped the fence and ran under the ride. He was hit by the ride or a person on the ride and fell forward. He didn't get up. You heard a big pop and he just laid there. The ride was going at over 50 miles per hour or roughly 80 kilometers per hour when the leg of one of the passengers made contact with Isaiah's head, decapitating him instantly. The rider somehow was fortunately unharmed. As it turned out, this was not the first incident involving the Batman ride. 6 years earlier, on May 26, 2002, a 58-year-old park employee lost his life in the exact same way when he was struck by the leg of a 14-year-old girl. Again, the rider was able to recover without any permanent injuries. A later investigation also cleared the park of any negligence. Inspectors found plenty of warnings and physical barriers in place to prevent anyone from simply wandering into the danger zone.
This is the Six Flags in Atlanta, right?
In Georgia.
I'm saying,
yeah.
I've been in that one.
Mm.
It's like, it's a big one, though. I've been there.
As for why Isaiah chose to ignore those warnings and climb the fence, that remains unclear to this day. Police received some conflicting reports, with some claiming that he was trying to retrieve a hat he had lost on the ride earlier, while others said he was attempting to touch the coaster or grab a rider's foot as a dare. But none of these reports were ever confirmed. And since the park wasn't found guilty of any wrongdoing, the Batman ride was allowed to reopen just a few days after the incident, and it's still operational to this day. Though now with a lot more warning signs and barbed wire over the fences to prevent any more similar tragedies. Murder of Oki Al Kite. On May 24, 2004, employees at an engineering consulting firm in Denver, Colorado noticed that the project manager, 53-year-old Oki Al Kite, was absent. This was completely out of character for Al, as he rarely ever took a day off. Even when he did, he made sure to inform his colleagues beforehand to avoid any issues. So people from the office tried calling him on the phone, but despite multiple attempts, Al didn't answer. Worried for his safety, people at the office contacted his emergency contact, which belonged to his sister. Unfortunately, the sister lived too far away to check on Al herself, so she dialed 911 and requested a welfare check instead, desperately hoping that her brother was okay. She knew something was wrong, since it wasn't like her brother to ghost everyone out of nowhere. But nothing could have prepared her for the gruesome fate Al had met in his own home just days earlier. When officers arrived at the house in Aurora, Colorado, they discovered that it was spotless, almost as if someone had recently given it a thorough cleaning, but there were no signs of Al himself. That is, until they went down to the basement and discovered one of the most horrific sights ever documented. The basement contained the bloody remains of Oki Al Kite with numerous nightmarish injuries. Later reports confirmed that he had over 20 stab wounds across his body, but this was only the very beginning. According to the investigation, Al had likely been brutally tortured by the killer leading up to his death. The details of the crime scene were so horrific that they were never fully released to the public. Whoever did this to Al spent hours upon hours inflicting pain before taking his life. This alone was enough to make it one of the most disturbing cases in Aurora's history. But the deeper investigators looked into it, the more unsettling it became. And at the center of it all was a mysterious man named Robert Cooper. His name first came up when talking to Al's girlfriend Linda, who was out of state at the time. She revealed that Al had told her about renting out his basement to a guy named Robert Cooper. She had actually seen the guy a few days earlier when Al was giving him a tour of the place. But as soon as Robert saw Linda, he left without even looking at her. He was likely trying to avoid leaving any witnesses. Fortunately, Linda was able to see enough of his face to help detectives put together a crude sketch. She also revealed that he had a cane and was walking with a limp. A quick search of Al's home revealed a document in his kitchen dustbin with all of Robert's information on it. But as it turned out, all of this was completely fake. Another factor that complicated the case was the sheer lack of a motive. Investigators initially assumed that it was a robbery gone wrong since Al's truck, phone, and wallet were missing. However, the truck was found just a couple of blocks from his home the very next day. And while the suspect did use Al's bank card, he only withdrew $1,000, far below the amount of money Al had in his account. Pictures from the ATM camera showed him wearing a ski mask and gloves to completely hide his identity. Robert had also given $750 in cash to Al just a day earlier for a security deposit and first month's rent. So, committing such a horrific crime for the difference of $250 didn't make much sense. Investigators later concluded that withdrawing this money was likely his way of taunting the police by leaving clues that he knew would ultimately do nothing for the police. By this point, it was clear that investigators were dealing with a highly prepared killer who had taken every precaution to conceal his identity. Even when officers tracked down the phone he used to contact Al, it turned out to be a burner phone. Not only that, but Robert had bought it with cash from a local convenience store and waited 30 days to activate it, knowing that most stores erased old CCTV footage after a month. Analysis of his phone revealed that he had also contacted several other landlords before Al. He likely went after Al because he knew Al lived alone. However, talking to those other landlords complicated things further, since many of them described characteristics that were the complete opposite of Linda's account, like many claiming that he didn't have a cane and walked normally. Some also claimed that he was much younger than Linda had described. At the end of the day, investigators weren't able to find a single solid lead or motive pointing to Robert Cooper's real identity. They even found a drop of blood on the basement stairs, but the DNA sample didn't match any existing records, leaving the question of why Al Kite was targeted and killed in such a horrific way as an unsolved mystery to this day.
My goodness.
That wasn't his first time.
He couldn't have been, bro.
And he probably has done it again.
Yeah, it's probably a lot more linked
You
to him.
don't do, or unless it's deeper than what we expect it to be.
That is crazy, bro.
You know what I'm saying? That could have been surface level. That could have actually been a hit. It could have been a lot of things. Because maybe he was trying to find... You never know. You just finna... Man... That's scary, though.
Human meat killer. On December 15, 1996, a man in Baltimore, Maryland walked into the local police station with a grim confession. According to this man, one of his friends had asked him to help dispose of a woman's remains. And while this sounded a bit absurd at first, officers decided to accompany him to the location. And to their surprise, the man wasn't lying. Deep inside a wooden pallet factory, police discovered the remains of 23-year-old Kimberly Lynn Spicer, who had been missing since November of that year. There was still a possibility that the man who went to the police was trying to frame his friend for a crime he committed. However, any doubt officers had in him vanished as soon as he named his friend, 41-year-old Joe Matheny. Those who knew Joe personally described him as kind and compassionate, but to the police, he couldn't have been more different. You see, Joe was actually arrested back in August 1995 for allegedly taking the lives of 2 homeless men. However, the case was thrown out in July 1996 due to insufficient evidence. More importantly, the police were already investigating Joe for an incident that had occurred just a week earlier on December 8. That night, a woman named Rita Kemper accused him of kidnapping and attempted murder, allegedly threatening her by saying, "I'm going to kill you and bury you in the woods with the other girls." So, the police had every reason to suspect that Joe was responsible for Kimberly's death as well. They arrested him the same day and charged him with murder. But Joe's crimes would turn out to be far more horrific. While in custody, Joe confessed to taking the lives of more than 10 victims, including the 2 homeless men he was charged with earlier. He also showed zero remorse, stating that he killed because he, quote, enjoyed it. Further adding, "I got a rush out of it, got a high out of it, call it what you want. I had no real excuse why other than I like to do it." That said, when investigators went searching for the remains of these victims, most of them were missing from where Joe claimed they were. And while this was never confirmed in court, there was an extremely horrific explanation for those missing remains. Put simply, while behind bars, Joe confessed to processing his victims' remains and feeding them to ordinary people back when he was operating a grilled meat stand. He wrote, "The human body tastes very similar to pork. If you mix it together, no one can tell the difference. So, the next time you're riding down the road and you happen to see an open pit beef stand that you've never seen before, make sure you think about this story before you take a bite of that sandwich." He stood trial multiple times in 1997 and 1998 and was initially given the death penalty, but this decision was later overturned and he was resentenced to 2 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole. He remained in prison until his death on August 5th, 2017.
You ain't never heard of him?
I don't think I have.
Yeah, I know about him.
I don't think I have.
I know a little bit about him. I don't know, like I know about others. That's crazy, right?
That's insane.
She said, "That's why I don't touch that." She said, "I don't touch that meat. Certain meat, I do not touch."
At this point, child, you have to everything. At this point, that's crazy though.
No, you can't blend. But from here, like we've heard that several times. That's what like similar to. Mm-hmm. But it's sad, bro. And then his friend turned him in. Because his friend said he asked him, "Man, what about? He had to have help before." Or you think he was always did all this by himself?
I think maybe by himself. His big self.
You don't think so?
I think but by himself, yeah.
I'm saying no. I'm saying why one time you asked for help?
Maybe I don't know.
You get where I'm going?
Weird. I don't know. That's weird, evil, sick. That's disturbing.
Yeah.
Heart attack caught on camera. Elaine Bruno started on YouTube with random vlogs, skits, and lifestyle videos back in 2012. These videos didn't gain much attention, but he kept posting semi-regularly for the next couple of years, unaware that one day he would record the worst incident of his life on camera. It happened somewhere near the end of May 2015. Elaine was recording another one of his videos, when suddenly he started feeling an uncomfortable pain around his chest and shoulders. What Elaine didn't know at the time was that he was having a heart attack, and it was getting worse as time went on. Soon he was struggling to breathe and was constantly rubbing his chest and shoulders to alleviate pain, but none of it was working. The pain kept getting worse and worse, resulting in him nearly passing out and drowning in his bathtub at one point. He eventually summoned enough strength to get out of the tub, only to nearly pass out on the bathroom floor seconds later. What made this situation even worse was that he was completely alone in the house. Left alone, he would have more than likely passed away before anyone noticed. But in what was nothing short of a miracle, his roommate came home early that day and immediately called 911. Elaine was rushed to the hospital where he managed to survive and is still posting videos to this day. However, while Elaine was able to recover after experiencing a heart attack, nearly 20 million people lose this battle every year. And therein lies the true horror of heart attacks. One minute you're living your life, maybe filming a video or laughing at a joke, and the next your heart stalls. You feel this heavy, crushing weight on your chest, pressing your lungs, and there is absolutely nothing you can do to get it off. It's the result of your heart muscle literally suffocating because it's being starved of oxygen-rich blood. As the minutes tick by, the sensation radiates through the rest of your upper body. Your lungs feel heavy, and no matter how deep you gasp, the air feels thin and useless. But the pain isn't even the worst part. It's the sheer dread and the impending sense of doom that survivors often describe as the most terrifying part of their experience. Your brain knows you are about to die before your heart even stops. And unlike many other deadly conditions that you can predict or counteract, a heart attack can happen at any time, often without warning, even in people who are otherwise healthy. And while modern medicine is quite effective at reducing the lethality of heart attacks, there's never a full guarantee treatment will arrive in time. Serial killer nurse.
That's crazy.
In early 2000s.
I'm glad he did go through the process. Maybe he had an underlying health condition he didn't know about.
Thank goodness a friend came home early.
Yeah.
Or came home and found them a call.
He does look relatively... Never mind. You won't be listening. Never mind. Yeah.
I listened to you.
Serial killer nurse. In early 2003, the staff at the Somerset Medical Center in Somerville, New Jersey noticed a few abnormalities with a couple of their patients, like a Catholic priest named Florian Gall who passed away completely out of nowhere. And when tested, staff found toxic levels of digoxin in his system, even though digoxin was never prescribed to him. Around the same time, another patient showed a sudden and unexplainable insulin spike and nearly lost their life. These and other similar incidents kickstarted an investigation, and nearly all of them linked back to the same man, 43-year-old Charles Cullen. The incidents weren't the exact same, but they all shared Charles as the common factor. In each case, the patient either mysteriously died or their condition became a lot worse after Charles spent a shift with them. This didn't make much sense at first. Charles had been a nurse for over 16 years and had a spotless record so far. However, the deeper investigators looked, the more suspicious his actions became. They found records of him requesting digoxin from the digital medicine dispensing machine and then canceling the request right after. But while the record never showed him taking the medicine out, doses of digoxin were still missing from the machine. There was simply too much circumstantial evidence against Charles for it to all be a massive coincidence. Unfortunately, none of this circumstantial evidence was solid enough to guarantee conviction. There was no CCTV footage or any other direct proof of his crimes. The only option now was to get him to confess. Luckily, investigators were able to convince one of his friends, another nurse named Amy Lochran, to wear a wire and coax a confession out of him. This worked better than investigators could have guessed. She invited him to lunch on December 12, 2003, and after some persuasion, got him to admit to intentionally killing his patients. This was enough for officers to arrest him on the spot and bring him in for questioning. He tried to stay quiet at first, but eventually admitted to taking the lives of 29 different patients during his time as a nurse. Though, according to some estimates, this number could be as high as 400. Charles would strategically choose night shifts with fewer prying eyes and opt to take care of victims who were less likely to survive. He would then either enter the code for some other medicine in the same drawer as digoxin, or cancel the request but then shake the machine open to steal the drug. He chose digoxin because it messed with the heart's rhythm in high doses, resulting in the victim dying of a natural-looking cause. He also knew that autopsies rarely tested for digoxin, reducing his risk of getting caught even further. However, the most disturbing part of the case is that his crimes were uncovered multiple times over the years. When the hospitals he worked at found out what he was doing, they didn't want to ruin their own reputation by launching a criminal investigation, so they simply fired him instead.
Wow.
This allowed him to work at 10 different hospitals and claim the lives of countless victims. When asked why he did it, Charles claimed that he wanted to relieve people of their suffering, even though most of his victims were either in stable conditions or died painful deaths because of his actions. Thankfully, he was caught in 2003. He stood trial in March 2006 and was sentenced to 18 consecutive life sentences, ensuring that he spends the rest of his life behind bars.
Yo, I had just came across another guy, same way he's him. It's a black guy, though. That's he's a serial killer too. Cause that's what these are. People like that are serial killers. Dang, it was a guy I had just came across, and I was like, a serial killer? He had how many bodies? And I literally think I came across it like yesterday on YouTube, and I wish I could find it. Y'all be coming across all types of crazy things. It was either yesterday or the day before. It's a black guy. He got over like 20 some bodies. Damn. I don't think I'm gonna find it in the history, cause I'll just be clicking on stuff. It's this one, cause they got a body cam on it. Let's see.
And he's a nurse.
His name is Billy Shesh. I don't know. His last name is crazy. Chemimir, something like that. But he's dead now. Was a Kenyan murderer and suspected serial killer accused of the murders of at least 18 elderly women in Dallas, Texas, United States, and its surrounding suburbs. But yeah, but he was indicated for 22 murders and convicted of 2. But his, I think it said his cellmate killed him. But I had never heard of him before, and I know you ain't never heard of him. You never heard of Billy. Because I came across the body cam yesterday. I was like, body cam? I said, serial killer caught after murdering 22 women in 2 years. He did all this in 2 years. I said, what? Because I don't think I told you about it. Like, that doesn't even make sense, though. And these are people you can trust your family members with.
You said you didn't watch it?
Nah. I was gonna go back and watch it because it's on Law and Crime, and we've never.
I'm about to say,
cam.
did you know like how he did, how he went about it doing his?
Oh no! I haven't. I was gonna go back and watch it and check it out. But no, I don't know how. And I think he was just a nurse similar to this dude, because that's fucked up, bro. These are elderly people, bro. Like, these people are in your care for you to help them, nurture them. Not everybody in these nursing homes and stuff are in there to die. You know what I'm saying?
Hospitals.
Oh, his was hospitals, wasn't it? So he was like, oh, they were older. And I'm like, bro, they ain't up to you.
All right.
Like, bro, some of them are being nursed to just go back home.
No, his thing, well, so they didn't have to suffer. Like they said, so many people was in stable condition. The things that you were doing to them made them suffer. So that was just your excuse in your mind to make you feel better about what you was doing, but that's BS.
Similar to, remember that one that was, a doctor or something in Dallas that was doing it? Well, in Texas, I'll say. Swear I feel like we did a body cam.
Or so, he was like...
So, bro, it's
it's
too many cases.
Yeah.
But then now Netflix is just recently did the documentary of the girl in the UK that was doing it with the babies.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you had seen that Netflix got a docu out on her.
I didn't see the doc, no. But
it's
then
we did, yeah.
But I didn't see the doc.
Right, Mango.
Yeah.
The 2019 escape room incident. On January 4, 2019, a group of 5 15-year-old girls in Poland got together to celebrate one of their birthdays. They had decided to spend the afternoon at a local escape room. Escape rooms, for those who don't know, are an interactive group activity. The premise is to get locked in a small themed room, solve a series of puzzles, and find the key to escape before the timer runs out. When done correctly, it's a largely harmless activity with virtually no risk of injury. However, not every escape room is set up with safety in mind, which was also the case for the escape room the girls chose for their celebration. It was hosted in an old residential building that was later converted into an escape room business without proper modifications. Mainly, the rooms lacked a proper fire exit. The only way out was through the front door, which was left locked until they solved the puzzle to escape. Even the window was boarded up for decoration, making it completely inaccessible. The entire building was also being heated with a gas heater powered by portable cylinders, with the door to the escape room located right next to the heater. While this setup had worked without any issues for dozens of attempts before, the same did not happen on the 4th of January. The girls arrived at the location around 4 p.m. and were locked inside the room not long after. At around 5 p.m., the only employee on duty noticed a whooshing sound coming from the heater. He tried to check for any leaks and fix them before things got out of hand. Unfortunately, as soon as he moved the cylinder, the leaking pipe caught fire and engulfed the entire wall immediately. He tried to reach the girl's door to unlock it, but the fire was already too intense. He suffered severe burns and was forced to retreat, cutting off the only evacuation route and leaving the girls entirely trapped. Inside the room, the teenagers were likely unaware of the danger at first, but soon, thick, toxic smoke began seeping through the cracks of the door. The temperature spiked and turned the room into a literal furnace. The girls were confined to a tiny, locked space and were entirely dependent on someone on the outside to let them out. Even if they had a way out, the thick smoke made it impossible to breathe, let alone open their eyes and find their way out. All they could do now was wait to be rescued, while the chance of them experiencing an unimaginable death increased with every second. One of the girls managed to call her father during the chaos, but the only words that came out of her mouth were "Dad, fire," before the line cut off. By the time firefighters extinguished the blaze and forced their way into the room, it was already too late. All 5 teenagers passed away, turning a harmless birthday outing into an unimaginable tragedy.
Damn, bro. Damn. That's straight negligence right there, dog.
I wonder what like the aftermath was as far as like the responsibility of cutting corners and not having like proper code. Like I don't know, like
if anyone was held liable, like lawsuit or
it's not going to bring them back.
Yeah,
but it's just like
because there was negligence on their behalf as far as not putting up the right safety protocols. Because you got to like with any business, you have to prepare for whatever. You have to have those things already set in place for, hey, this is an emergency exit. Hey, this is no matter what it is. And you have to go over drills constantly so every employee know what to do. And then you only have one employee at the time, which I always hate when like whatever job it is, only have one employee. I don't understand you trying to cut on calls, but safety is way more important than anything. Because I feel like one could have had looked at it and said, hey, it looked like we might have an issue. Because two minds at the time is way better than one. Yeah. Let's go ahead and get the girls. Then let's take a look at it. We can restart their whole escape room experience. Yeah. And then it could have been prevented. Yeah.
Rabies. Few diseases in the world are more terrifying than rabies, mainly because once its symptoms appear, death is almost inevitable. However, that is far from the most disturbing aspect of the virus. The true horror of rabies lies in what it does to the human body before claiming a life. It starts with a bite from a stray dog, a raccoon, or even a minor scratch from a bat. Then, immediately after entering the body, the rabies virus starts traveling up the nervous system towards the brain. And until it reaches its target, the virus is almost invisible to the body. It doesn't trigger a massive immune response or...
Not you looking like that towards a bat. I thought you liked bats.
That bat looked a little different.
This how they look.
I done seen bats and I don't remember.
You ain't never seen them up close. I have twice.
Do they all look like this?
Yes. This is how bats look.
Maybe I like the baby bats.
And them things, I ain't gonna lie, they scare the fuck out of me,
baby
bro.
bat when they look small, they look cute.
I ain't gonna hold you. The first time I was working at Amazon, I said, damn, it's a bat right there. And I said, damn, it's right where I gotta go pull. I said, you know what? Log out. I said, I'm gonna log out. If I get a timeout task, I don't care. I put my stuff up. I said, bro, I'm gonna holler at y'all. I went on the other side. I said, all right, reset. I'm over here. I said, bro, I'm not messing with a bat. The second time, y'all, literally, I was outside. I was back home. I was outside on the phone with C. I'm talking. Next thing you know, a bat just flew at me. I threw the phone. I swear, bro. You know how, like, that's something you don't think about. No screen protector or nothing. I'm on the phone. I'm talking to C. I'm like, just outside. And next thing you know, I just threw the phone at it. I said, oh, boom. She said, what's that? Luckily, no screen crashing on. Shout out to Samsung. No screen crashing on nothing. I said, if I had before I was really interrupted by somebody.
Sorry, y'all.
No, they don't know.
But okay, whatever.
I'm just merge it.
Okay.
But
you do your thing.
But yeah, like bats are scary, bro. I know some people like them and stuff, but Like, I can't get jiggy with the bets. And honestly, bro, I never really had a bet experience until then. And I had it twice in 1 year.
I done seen bets before, but not up close. Like, I done seen them fly.
Where?
What you mean, where? Outside.
Where?
Like, back home and stuff.
Yeah, it's a lie.
It's a hell. I've seen a bet in my lifetime. Since I've been on this earth, I've seen a bet before. I just never seen one up close. Like, in the face.
The virus is almost invisible to the body. It doesn't trigger a massive immune response or cause immediate sickness. Even the original bite usually heals without any complications. This lack of immediate symptoms can deceive people into thinking that they're safe. By the time they realize they're infected, they're already too far gone. Because once the virus finally reaches the brain, it begins replicating itself quickly and starts spreading through the nervous system. And that's when the symptoms begin. Even then, it can start off fairly tame with symptoms like a low fever, a headache, and general fatigue, the same signs as the common flu. But before long, the virus begins actively destroying brain tissue, resulting in severe paranoia, confusion, and uncontrollable aggression. Victims become incredibly restless and begin suffering from insomnia and violent outbursts. Then comes the most horrific symptom of the disease, hydrophobia. You see, the virus spreads through saliva, so it increases the production of saliva. And to ensure that this saliva stays in the mouth, it makes the host extremely hydrophobic. It causes severe, agonizing spasms in the throat and larynx. These spasms are so violent that they're triggered by the mere thought, sight, or sound of water. You need water to survive, but the second you try to take a sip or even swallow your own saliva, your throat muscles violently contract, inducing a sensation identical to suffocating. Worst of all, this state of panic and aggression only gets worse as the virus progresses, until the human body can't take it anymore and shuts down completely. Now, modern medicine does have a highly effective vaccine. If you receive a series of shots immediately after a suspected bite, your chances of survival are nearly perfect. But the vaccine only works if administered before the virus reaches your brain. If you wait and even a single minor symptom appears, the mortality rate jumps to virtually 100%. There is no cure at this point. There is no last-minute medical save, resulting in 70,000 people falling victim to rabies every year. Because once the first headache starts, you are already dead.
How many people?
70,000.
I just was thinking, I tuned out. I was just thinking about all the possible ways I could get rabies. I was like, oh my gosh.
You freaked out over this bet.
Yeah, I was just like,
oh. you rarely see them like this. Like, a lot of times look like this.
And then I was like, what if I'm outside and someone attack me? And then I
was thinking while watching this. Can you say, for instance, because typically they say with raccoons, we got them by boatloads around here.
Right.
So say, for instance, a raccoon gets it, right, and they die. You know, some people still eat raccoons.
Right.
So what if they eat one that died from, aka roadkill, what they call roadkill? Well, what if they eat? Can you still get it? If they die from it and somebody eat it, could they then?
I mean, yeah, right. It'll still be in in their system, right?
I don't know.
Can you? Yes.
They said risk is low.
Oh, but yes, all I see is yes. Yes.
Because it says the virus lives in the saliva and nervous tissue.
That is.
Okay, the brain and spinal cord. So I guess
Wait. Well, you didn't say eat though. You just said contract.
I said, can you contract rabies from a dead?
But I'm taking it as yes. But it's still safe.
It says extremely rare.
But okay,
because
whatever.
It
it's the
says
saliva.
it's in the saliva or in the brain or spinal. Or in the spinal.
Cook meat kill. Oh, but if you cook it good enough, it kills. I ain't taking no chances. I don't eat raccoon. I don't eat that no way.
No. I don't eat it. But I do know people who have ate it.
But I did look up.
I ate kangaroo though.
Like the rates. How many people have survived? Like having rabies. It says 30 to 45 documented cases. People have survived.
That's only 30 to 45. That ain't
30
enough.
to 45 documented cases worldwide.
Let me see. I know he said 70, but let me see.
That's too high for me.
But it said,
Rabies.
oh, yeah, 59
with 95 to
70.
99% of cases resulting from bites from affected dogs.
In Asia and Africa. Nearly half of all victims are children under 15.
Y'all make sure y'all...
While almost 100% fatal once symptoms appear. God, how would you even know unless you get the symptoms? I guess that's the reason why they say if you get bit by a dog, go get a rabies shot immediately because you just don't know. AKA, like my niece got bit by a dog on her back. She had to go to the doctor immediately. I don't know if they gave her a rabies shot or what,
but it is in a lot of like stray dogs for sure because they're unvaccinated and stuff.
With that dog, they ain't know they were.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I don't know, but yeah.
Arby's walk-in freezer death. On the morning of May 11, 2023, 63-year-old Nuyet Lee was opening for an Arby's located in New Iberia, Louisiana. She arrived at the location at around 9 a.m. to prep for business before the 10 a.m. opening. This was a part of her daily routine as the manager and something she had done hundreds of times before. And today was supposed to be no different. Unfortunately, that's not what happened. Sometime after arriving at the location, Nuyet went inside the restaurant's massive walk-in freezer to retrieve some ingredients. But when she turned around to walk out, the door slammed shut, leaving her stuck in negative 10 degrees Fahrenheit. This was colder than many parts of the Antarctic. And unlike people who live in extremely frigid environments, she wasn't dressed for the cold. It wasn't until 6 hours later that her own son, who also worked at the same restaurant, found her inside the freezer. She was frozen solid on the freezer's floor, curled up into a fetal position. Her hands were bloody from trying to pry her way out for what must have felt like hours before hypothermia set in and she eventually passed away. A later investigation of the freezer revealed that the emergency latch that's meant to open the door from the inside was broken. She had also been working as the manager of an Arby's in Houston, Texas for several years, but was assigned a temporary position at the Louisiana location in February. So there's a good chance she didn't even know about the malfunctioning latch. These industrial walk-in freezers also have extremely thick walls, so no one could hear her cries for help either, leaving her to die alone in the dark, cold room. Sadly, Nuyet's case is only one of 60 similar cases that happen every year, where people get stuck inside a walk-in freezer, and by the time someone notices, it's already too late. From the moment they become trapped until their final breath, people experience what can only be described as pure torture. It starts with their body quickly losing heat due to the extreme cold temperature. The frigid air makes it painful to breathe, and even the thin liquid layer on the eyes starts to freeze. This is followed by hypothermia, during which the body constricts blood vessels, raises the heart rate, and begins to shiver uncontrollably to generate heat. The lack of blood flow to the extremities can also lead to frostbite on fingers and toes, as the cells in those regions begin to die out. Near the final stages of hypothermia, the brain starts to malfunction, causing hallucinations, delirium, and extreme dizziness. By this point, the chances of survival are nearly zero, as the person begins to lose their sense of self before eventually passing away.
I'm just trying to figure out, did no one else ever come in? Not the son finding her.
It depends on, I guess she came in early to do like whatever.
It said she came in at 9.
9? What time Arby's typically open?
10, 11, I don't know.
10:30
But her
for
son
lunch.
didn't find her till 6 hours later.
Hold on, so somebody else had to be there on that shift
I'm like,
too.
no one has sense enough to be like, oh, where's the manager? The store was already open.
Not even
Who's
that.
supposed to be here?
Not even just that. No one else walked into the freezer
Or
in 6
just
hours.
nothing. Like nothing.
Cause that doesn't seem normal. Cause typically when you open up a restaurant, it's not just you by yourself. It's typically somebody else there as well. I worked at plenty.
But I wonder if she opened up by herself just because she was the manager.
I'm finna say this.
They seemed like they was already. Go ahead.
Typically, from my experience, I can only talk from my experience. Working at a restaurant or fast food, typically, even early, there's always someone who arrives at the opening with the manager. So it'd be more than one person go in when you first
Is this
key
just
turn.
restaurants?
most restaurants or fast food, I've worked at both.
Oh well, restaurant, fast food, whatever.
I've worked at both. That's just from my experience. I don't know if it's due to where I was at, but typically people like to schedule to make sure people are there. At least 2 people are there to open up. But again, like I said earlier, people be trying to cut costs. But 6 hours after she arrived at 9, that would have been midday. Somebody else was supposed to already be there.
Right? You know, I'm like,
And obviously nobody went and looked and checked. And maybe he came up there because his mom, he hadn't heard from his mom. And somebody, I don't know. But somebody should have been
he
checked the
worked
freezer.
there too, so I wonder was he coming in for a shift, or it's just because, like you said, he probably hadn't heard from her. He probably been texting her.
Or he could have been coming in from the shift and
that's
people like,
just
have y'all?
strange. I
He
hate
probably
that.
asked, have you seen my mom? And everybody, no.
And the only thing you could think her car in the parking lot. Other thing I could probably think of.
And somebody probably said, last time I seen her, she went to the freezer. I'm just saying, because I know how slow people be like
sad.
that.
I just sick. That's a long time, bro.
Cause them freezers,
bro.
like in the restaurants and stuff, bro. Them freezers do be freezing cold. I remember when I worked at Sonic, I think we had 2. I worked at OG, I think we only had 1. It was a big one. But when I worked at B-Dubs, we had 3. You had the one where the chicken at, the one where we kept the ice cream, and one we had the prep and like the carrot, celery, the ranch blue cheese, because all of them supposed to be kept at different temperatures. But the one that was super, super cold for me was the one with the ice cream stuff at, because you want to keep that froze solid. I think I went in the one with the wings and stuff, like the chicken and stuff like that. I think I went in a couple times, but I can't really remember that one because I used to always go over here to the one with like the other stuff. But yeah, I ain't gonna hold you. I used to think, I was like, man, I hope I don't get shut up in this mug. But we had one where it doesn't like lock from the inside at all. Or maybe we had to safely, I can't remember because this joint never like, but you be in that joint, it's black, somebody pop in behind you, you just look, because it scared you out of nowhere. But that's a horrible way to die.
It is.
The Gollum Cave incident. On the morning of August 17, 2005, 5 students from Brigham Young University decided to explore a relatively unknown cave on the nearby Y Mountain in Utah. The small cave was called Gollum's Cave, but it also had a second name, as those who knew about it called it the Cave of Death. Confident in their knowledge of the cave's interior and their ability to navigate it, the 5 students decided to visit it anyway. Blake Donner, Ariel Singer, Scott McDonald, and Jennifer Galbraith arrived at the cave's entrance at around 4:30 a.m. and made preparations to go in. The 5th friend, Joseph Ferguson, decided at the last second not to join them and stayed outside. The others started to make their way in, one after the other, and just a few minutes later vanished completely into the cave. An important thing to note about Gollum's Cave is that it was only 100 feet, or about 30 meters in length, so the trip to its end and back should have taken 20 to 30 minutes at most. But over an hour had passed, and none of the 4 had returned. Worried about their safety, Joseph dialed 911 and told them about the situation. And it wasn't long before police and rescue officers were there, thinking up the best way to reach the 4 who were inside. Because the primary section of the Gollum Cave ended with a small water-filled hole, which then led to an air pocket further inside the cave. The tunnel leading to the air pocket was too narrow to turn around, forcing anyone inside to reach the very end before returning. Something the rescuers couldn't do with their equipment, like oxygen tanks. So instead of going in and possibly getting stuck, they decided to use an air pump to fill the cave with fresh air while also removing water. This not only supplied those stuck inside with fresh air, but also made the rescue mission much easier. What none of the rescuers knew was that it was already too late. Unfortunately, by the time rescuers reached the entrance to the underwater section, all 4 students were already dead. The question now was how. After removing the remains from the cave, rescuers returned to the air pocket at the very end to test the air quality. As they had feared, oxygen levels were critically low inside the air pocket. They weren't bad enough to prevent the 4 from breathing completely, but it was a big enough difference to impair their reasoning. This also made it difficult to hold their breath while trying to return, causing all 4 to become trapped in the short underwater section and drown before help could arrive.
So you telling me when they came this way, oh, it was too tight for them to turn around. So they had to go in here
To try to
turn around, and then come back. But they probably was not prepared to even do that.
Yeah.
And then they wasn't equipped to do that either. Wow.
So,
Yeah.
Asiana Airlines Flight 214 disaster.
Have we heard about that story though? I swear,
we just did it not too long ago.
We just did another case the
Yeah, I
other
remember
day.
that one. I feel like we did this one not too long ago.
And you know how many?
Because I remember him saying that the friend was going to go and decided not to go.
Yeah.
And
But that'd be about like all over.
but maybe
though,
I'm
at this
getting them
point.
mixed up. I don't know.
I wish I can remember details. You could be right. I just wish I remember the details. But I feel like we have heard about this one. I'm tired of hearing about the cave stories though, because man,
Sad.
Asiana Airlines Flight 214 disaster. On the 6th of July 2013, Asiana Airlines Flight 214 was set to arrive at the San Francisco International Airport at around 11:30 a.m. The Boeing 777 plane had taken off from the Incheon International Airport near Seoul, South Korea about 10 hours earlier. And other than a 30-minute delay due to weather, the flight had gone exactly as planned. But this would change as they were about to land. As the plane approached the runway, it was 2,000 feet lower than it should have been. By the time the pilots realized their mistake, the plane was already too close to the ground. They tried to course correct at the last second, but that only made things worse. The plane crashed into the seawall, losing its tail and left engine in the process. The main body of the plane slid across the runway at extreme speeds before catching fire due to the jet fuel that was now spilling everywhere. Fortunately, with the crash happening near the airport, rescue workers were able to reach the scene in seconds. Of the 307 people on board, 187 were injured by the impact or the fire, and 3 lost their lives. However, among everyone on that plane, no one suffered a fate more tragic than 16-year-old Ye Mengyan. Ye wasn't wearing her seatbelt when the crash happened, resulting in her getting ejected onto the runway. She was severely injured, but according to the autopsy reports, she was still alive. She had survived such a violent event against all odds. There was a strong chance of her pulling through and recovering if she had received immediate medical attention. It's unclear if she was conscious at the time, but if she was, seeing rescuers arrive just seconds after the crash would have been a tremendous relief. However, the very people meant to save her life would end up taking it instead. Not long after the crash, Ye was tragically run over by 2 separate fire trucks as they maneuvered around the wreckage to extinguish the fires. Footage from the incident showed a firefighter directing the trucks away from Ye. Unfortunately, in the chaos of the rescue, no one thought to check her vitals and assumed that she had already passed away.
Whoa, stop. There's a body right there, right in front of you.
This led to rescuers ignoring her and focusing on the fire and the other victims. One of the fire trucks also ended up covering her with fire-resistant foam, making her even harder to spot, which ultimately led to 2 different drivers failing to see her on the ground and running her over, removing any chance she had of surviving the crash.
Oh, that made my stomach. Oh, that did something to me.
Yeah, that's insane, bro.
Rest in peace.
Yo, I'm lost for words with that one. Wow. Like, are you fucking serious, bro?
Yeah, I'm lost for words because I don't understand how
That's even possible. And why the carelessness?
It's a body right here.
I have to get
like someone. Okay, I get there's a lot of other people, but she needed attention. Someone should have gave her some type of attention. Someone should have stood and blocked in the way so no one would be driving near her. Like I just
scooted her over.
No, because you don't want to move her because you don't know what type of injury she have. So I get not moving her, but just staying next to her so no one would hit her or someone would know that she's there. I get these trucks sit up high so view is obstructed. Yeah, it's a lot, but yeah. But we'll never know if she would have been able to pull through from the injuries of the actual crash. My stomach hurt. But yeah.
Hey man, y'all spam us up in the comments. Y'all let us know y'all thoughts about it for us down below, man.
Please do.
But until next time, y'all know how it go, man. I do go by the name DJ New Kid. This is
Sierra Nicole.
We are.
Kid and
We
Cee.
are.
Get it, ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack of flip for my foes. Dollar, 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 dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar, 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 dollar.